What's up, my pilots? That was only 10 seconds, too. I could have gone a lot longer. That's what he said.
Okay, Dragon. You've...
Anyway, this video is a bit different. As you might notice, some of you are probably experiencing extreme deja vu. I'm experiencing a really, really bad deja vu because this is the 4th time I've seen this level if you count the times I've edited it. And edited it. It's really hard to say, particularly quickly. But this is my new file. I downloaded a new ISO, one that isn't as horribly, botchedly hacked as the original one that I had. And so now all the gems should be in this level. I just went ahead and played through it. I didn't bother commentating while I was doing it because I figured I'd just do it after. It'd be easier to explain, etc., etc. And I wanted you guys to get another taste of the way that I play when I'm not commentating. You might notice that... Oops, sorry, I hit the mic. I'm hitting the mic, man. This is this backup headset. The mic is a lot closer to my mouth. And that means that when I go to stroke my mustache, my hand bumps into the mic. Some of you think I'm kidding. But the point is, when you look at this footage here of me playing, I play differently when I'm not LPing, and I thought it might be interesting for you guys if maybe you notice some differences. One of them, I think, is that I'm a lot more quick to react to things, more quick to do things. I move the camera around a lot more when I'm not commentating. I tend to jump and flame and change directions a lot. I'm very active because I flame for no real reason there. I just wanted to have something else to do, more buttons to push, and things to do. And I charge all the time. I guess that's sort of something I do when I LP as well. But it varies from game to game. Oh, see, I just saw the gem that I missed there. I had to come back and look for that one.
Hey, Spyro.
But
Zoe told me.
Hunter, you're such a putz. Seriously, such a putz. See, now I have to get by with just stroking one side of my mustache. Because if I stroke the other side, I bump the mic, or I put my hands between my face and the mic, and you guys can't hear what I'm saying. It's ridiculous, man. Yeah. So now that this is done, once we're done with this homeworld, we're gonna go into Birds. What's it called? Sergeant Bird's Base. That's the name of the level, I believe. And then we'll be totally up to scratch. We should have a certain number of gems when we finish the video, and I'll make sure to note it. And that'll be the point where we should be. That'll be the number of gems we're supposed to have. It'll be one of these numbers that's ending in 91, because we got some odd number 91 from Molten Crater when we were unable to do the bird section right away, so... That's what we're going to do in the next video, is go back there and take Bird back to that section and get the rest of the gems and the other 2 eggs from there. That one red gem by the stairs there, I remember one time in this level, I found all of them except for one, and it ended up being that one red gem hiding behind the stairs. Oh, it's tricky, man, it's tricky. Of course, usually when they put gems down in these levels, if you haven't noticed it, anything that's symmetrical will have the same amount of gems on one side as it does on the other. Those staircases by Sergeant Bird's cage, and Sergeant Bird's base, that's a good example because, just like I said, there's a red gem on this side. Oh, look, there's another one on the other side that matches it. So you gotta look and see if there's another one over there. Of course, if it's just a windy, curvy, circular, or generally asymmetric level, yeah, there's no real pattern for gem placement, besides the fact that they tend to be in groups, and frequently of like color. So you notice I went through those 2 baskets, they both had 5s. I crashed through the 2 vases, they both had 5s. And that might just be because they're more likely to put gems that are worth more in a slightly more difficult location. Now, granted, it's not at all hard to charge through a basket and pick up some gems, but it's easier than just walking over and picking them up. Which you get the greens and the reds tend to just be sitting around. I mean, how often do you see purples sitting on the ground? Not very often. They're usually tucked away inside something if you find them at all. And then when they are sitting around on the ground, like I think a couple were in treetops, they're at hard to get locations, so that by the time you get there, you've done enough work to have earned them. It's so interesting to analyze these games. It's fun. I don't know if you guys realize how much fun I have making these LPs. This is essentially the only video game playing that I do anymore. It's weird, because I used to play games all the time, and I really loved it. And when I go home and I'm at my parents' house, sometimes when I say home, I'm talking about my dorm at university, and other times I'm talking about my parents' house. So it might be a little ambiguous there. It's probably not that confusing for you guys. But, wow, is this project really at that resolution? That seems really dumb. I'm just noticing some settings in here. I was like, that's dumb. Why did I have it set to that? Okay, I'll have to fix that from now on. Whatever, you guys won't care. It doesn't make a difference on the viewer's end. It's just a file size thing for me. What was I saying before that? Yeah, I used to play all kinds of video games all the time. I was always in the middle of some RPG or some storyline of something or other. Usually in Morrowind, I was halfway through Morrowind while playing another game or something like that. Now I think I go find this green one I missed earlier. There it is. We're still missing some more gems. Where did I end up? Oh yeah, this was a really dumb one. You probably saw me miss it. So I'm looking in the atlas. Oh, 5 more gems. Man, that's so weird. It's like, what was I just saying about 5 gems? Where are they always hidden? Seriously. Seriously, man. I couldn't believe it when I went back around and found this one. I felt so dumb for having missed it the first time. Thankfully, it didn't take me very long to find it, at least, so... whatever. But yeah, I used to play all the time. I'd play games. I'd pick one game, and I'd play it for a long time, and sort of really wear it out, really get sick of it before I change to another game. And nowadays, I tend to have a little bit more of game ADD than I used to, where I'll play one game for a few weeks and get sick of it and swap to another game. And I haven't actually finished a video game outside of an LP. Well, let's see, I did Fallout 3 while I was home over the summer, or just earlier this summer. But before that, I can't remember the last video game I actually finished besides an LP, other than that one I just mentioned. Well, that's actually kind of surprising. A friend of mine actually mentioned to me the other day that I was missing out on a really big series because he went and looked at my channel and said, "Hey, dude, what are you doing? You haven't played a single Final Fantasy game?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I'm not going to LP them because I've never played one." And he said, "Okay," and he sent me a link to a ROM for FF7, which he told me is the best storyline and in his opinion, the best FF game. So I'm going to be doing that. Well, not as an not as an LP. Just I'm going to play it just to see if I like it, because I watched Nintendo Capri Sun's LP of Final Fantasy X, and the impression I got from it was that it had some ups and downs. I think I would have really enjoyed the combat system, the turn-based, etc., despite the fact that it seemed a little bit too easy. Of course, he said he was over-leveled most of the time, but in an RPG, if you're not hunting out every little side quest and really doing everything, you're missing out on a lot. Because there's a lot of content there that's not directly on the main path. It's not like you're playing a shooter and you shoot this guy so you can go to the next room, and you shoot that guy so you can go to the next room. It's just a series of rooms. In an RPG, you really got to go out of your way to find the nooks and crannies where the neat things are hidden. And so I feel like being over-leveled is just part of the game. They should adjust the enemies so that they scale to your level, so that the players who go out of their way and do whatever they want on their own will still have a challenge when they decide to come back and finally do the main quest line. So while I was watching his LP of NCS's LP of FF10, I noticed that, like I said, I would probably like the combat, I'd probably enjoy that, but the storyline, to be honest, was kind of shitty. I'm not gonna mince words on this one. It was lame. It didn't really interest me all that much, and it was one of those storylines where they start you out in one realm of disbelief, and they move. This ladybug evades me for the longest time, and it's kind of embarrassing, actually. It's like, get over here, dude! And they made those fast and agile like that, so that they'd be hard to hit with birds' missiles. Otherwise, it's just too easy. You're shooting a missile at a ladybug, man. Come on!
Sir, I've captured the enemy.
But I remember there were a few things that just seemed really strange. For one thing, having to do so many required, extremely long and difficult side quests to get the ultimate weapons. That just seems really dumb to me. It should be a skill-based thing and not a horribly repetitive redundancy thing. And I feel like Blitzball, the 200 lightning strikes. I think there was something else too, but I can't remember what it was now. But there were oh, the butterfly game. Those things, they just seemed not fun at all. I played Blitzball for just 10 minutes maybe one time. You guys remember Phoenix? He was playing FF10 for a while, a couple years ago. He was probably freshman year of college, and he really enjoyed the game. But I don't think he ever had finished it as a kid. He'd played it a few times, and he'd gotten to the part where you're flying around in the airship, and Ren keeps saying, "The final showdown with Shen." But he never actually went and did the final showdown because he was still trying to get all the 200 lightning strikes and crap like that done. Oh, and chocobo racing. That was the other one. The friggin' chocobo race. That looked ridiculous. And I played that for like 45 minutes on Phoenix's PS2. That is ridiculous. That's not even fun. It was way too hard, man. That's crazy. If any of you guys have ever gotten the chocobo race and actually beaten that with like a negative time or whatever it is you have to have, I think it's actually less than 0. You have to like avoid all the birds and hit a bunch of balloons in order to, it's like, oh my god, it was ridiculous, man. I couldn't believe that when he told me that you said you had to get a negative time to get the final whatever it was for whoever it was. I can't remember now. But it was like, why did they put this crap in here? It's like they wanted the only people to be able to enjoy the final ultimate things, or the people who were just possessed to play the game for so long until they perfected their skill at some arbitrary mini game involving birds, balloons, and some feathered horse things. It's so strange. I recognize that chocobos are kind of important to the Final Fantasy lineup, but still, that oh, sorry, I know I'm killing the mic. That's just not very good. Okay, the mic's in the wrong place, honestly. For one thing, it's on the wrong side of my head. It's on the right instead of on the left, and it's way too close to my face. I could lick it with my tongue, and I shouldn't be able to. That's how you know when your that mic's too close, is if you can lick it. Did you know that? Yeah. I'm serious. Now, something weird happens here. I'm actually going to talk about the gameplay for a second. When we go back in here to find this chest, it's there. And when I bomb it, it destroys the floor beneath it. So the only thing I can think is that on my other file, it must have just not been there at all. But I feel like I noticed it on the way through. At the very least, on the way through the first time, I thought to myself, I remember there's a chest here I have to come back and get. I don't remember if I actually saw it. Maybe we should look at the video, because, I don't know, I did manage to blow it up without blowing a hole in the floor, which is really weird. Now the camera gets stuck on the ground. Whatever. So anyway, my friend sent me a link to a ROM for FF7, which I understand is a PlayStation 1 game? Interesting. He said it was on the same scope as he enjoyed it about as much as he enjoyed Super Mario RPG and Chrono Trigger,
I'm ready to be
which
debriefed.
both of those games I've gotten really good impressions of. So I'm looking forward to Final Fantasy VII. He tells me that the story. I actually asked him about Final Fantasy X. And I said, hey, you know, I watched an LP of FF10, and the storyline was crap. And he said, yeah, it was. Compared to 7, it's crap. And I was like, okay, well. So now I'm looking forward, actually, to the storyline and the gameplay of FF7. It should be interesting. I think if I remember correctly, it's the first 3D Final Fantasy game. It's surprising that in a transition that from 2D to 3D, they still had enough time and interest and investment to actually put in a good storyline. I don't know, it's surprising. Because I feel like nowadays, you look at things like 3D movies. Anytime there's a new gimmick out, people are gonna make a lot of new content just so that they can make money off of this new gimmick. And a lot of the time, that new content is crap. And so I feel like some games that come out right at the turn of a console, right from one generation to the next, are really crappy. Because for one, maybe they were a game that was supposed to come out on one console and wasn't gonna finish in time, so that the new generation was gonna be released before they finished development, and so they had to scrap the code, start over, and make it for the new system, and they made it really shoddily, or it wasn't done properly, or they rushed it out so it could be a release title or something like that. Things like that happen. It's just garbage. And a lot of times you get these things like 3D movies is probably the biggest one. There have been so many movies recently that are just total crap and made only so they can be in 3D. It's just, I can't believe it. I can't enjoy something like that. And so I'm really impressed, actually, that FF7 gets such good reviews, considering it's the first 3D Final Fantasy game. Maybe they actually took things seriously. It was Squaresoft, right, that makes the Final Fantasy games? Or at least used to. I don't know who's making any of this stuff anymore. If Rare's gone, I feel like Squaresoft is probably headed out too. I don't know. Or it's Square Enix, isn't it? I don't know. It's weird because I had a PlayStation 1, and I never had Final Fantasy VII as a kid. So, I don't know, I guess it's all about what games you're exposed to. And I guess I wasn't in the marketing. I guess I wasn't, the ads weren't marketed to me when I was a kid, because I bought the first Spyro game, and I enjoyed it so much that I bought the second and the third, or at least I asked for the second and the third. My parents got them for me for my birthday or whatever. But I was never at all interested in FF7, and I think part of it was that. I mean, if I had, I don't remember this, but if I had heard of the game, I probably would have thought, geez, I better start with the first one, you know? And it's like, oh, you mean that isn't how it works? Like, somebody needs to, they really need to do something different. It's like a Zelda game. When you play, if your first console, for example, was the Wii, first of all, you're like 12 years old, and second of all, you probably didn't ever play Ocarina of Time on the N64. I mean, you probably don't even know anybody who owns Ocarina of Time on the N64. So your first Zelda title might be Twilight Princess. But when you see Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, you don't think, oh man, I better go buy an NES so I can play The Legend of Zelda to know what's going on in this game. Whereas with Final Fantasy VII, you might actually think, maybe I need to play 1 through 6 to understand what's going on. Because it's a number, you know? It's like if Twilight Princess was called Zelda 8, or whatever. I guess it was probably higher than 8. It's probably like more like Zelda 12. There's been a lot of Zelda games. But if Twilight Princess was called Zelda, The Legend of Zelda 12, people would be intimidated by that. They wouldn't want to buy a game that was so far in a series that they had never played in the earlier games. They feel like they wouldn't know what was going on. They'd be lost. And I think that they lose out on a lot of potential new customers. And with the new generation of gamers coming in every 10 years, you really can't afford to be losing out. You can't, and quite frankly, the number of people that are playing video games today is expanding with every year. And a lot of people bitch about the casualization of games, and games are getting easier, blah blah blah. Really, it's all about making money. It's an industry just like any other, and you know, you had games that you played when you were a kid that you really enjoyed. If you don't like today's games, just keep playing the games that you played as a kid. Look at my LPs. That's what I do. I enjoy Spyro a lot more than I enjoyed Halo 3, which game am I LPing? I mean, that's all there is. That's all there is to it. And to be frank, even with the casualization of games today and making things easy, like the Wii, the grandma console, there are still a lot of games out there that are sort of hidden. They're not really popular because they aren't marketed to that huge demographic, and so you've got to find those niche games that are really good, but don't appeal to everyone. You got to find the games that appeal to you, and gamers like you. Anyway, that's all for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Celebratory headbutt. See you next time.